Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever in the world you are tuning into HopEUm from. My name is Trevor Henry. You may know me as Quickshot. And today we are going to break down first stand for 2026. 8 teams will be competing, split into 4 groups, fearless, best of 5, and a whole bunch of teams that I can definitely say I don't know particularly well. So what does that mean? Well, over the next hour or so of our first stand introduction, our first stand primer, I have brought on experts from literally around the world. The first group is pretty much everybody in Berlin, but that's irrelevant. We represent different parts of the world. And we're going to be breaking down the LPL and the LEC. That laughter that you just heard is my guest. It is my great pleasure to welcome Sola, Initialise, and Nymaera. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you today?
I can't wait to meet these experts. I don't know when you're going to get them in, but I can't wait to meet them.
Let's go very quickly.
I know it's going to start because Trev got me laughing before I was on camera. It's that kind
honestly,
of day.
It worked really well in my headphones for the intro. Initialise, how many LPL games do you think you've covered in 2026?
Oh my god. It's going to be a couple hundred because, or like I think, but I'm trying to think because we had a lot of like double best of 5 days, 3 best of 3 days.
200.
It was a lot of games.
200
yeah, we covered a lot of games, and basically it was just myself and Alex doing our own broadcast of it. So we did all but 1 day. So there's like we are missing a day's footage. That's it.
So 200. Did you cover any other co-streaming games? Just some for math. I'm building up to something. I promise.
I mean, I was keeping up with other regions, but I wasn't doing that on co-stream. So actually, this was just LPL this year. Last year, I was doing LEC and LPL at the same time. That was the crazy one.
Sola, how many games? How many games have you covered on co-stream for LEC?
I mean, LEC was full of best of ones, right? So probably not in the hundreds, I would say. I mean, it was 3 days and 6 games, right? 18 games. I mean, maybe.
I can tell you explicitly. You covered every single.
Maybe.
You covered every single game.
Yeah,
it's 105. Yeah. 105 games.
That seems reasonable.
Let's do this. So I mentioned in the intro, the thing that I want to talk about with this little group is we're going to break down the LPL teams with Initialise and Nymaera, Sam and Alex respectively. And what I would like to do is once we've got that primer, then Sola, I'm going to ask you to help talk a little bit about LEC and finals, and maybe break down G2. Before we get to analysis, Sola, what did you make of the final? I was on site. I was there with Sendo, and we were very nervous after game 3 and game 4. How did you feel?
I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. I thought it was gonna be a quick 3-0, right? So after the first loss, I was like, okay, maybe 1 game I give it to them, but actually turning out to be a best of 5 with 5 games wasn't on my list, so it was really entertaining to watch. The games were actually quite close. I think in the end G2 definitely deserved to win the series, but KC put up much more of a fight than I expected. Yeah, not sure what to make of it, because I really thought that G2 was at least a level above everyone else in the LEC right now, so not sure. I would say KC definitely stepped it up rather than G2 performing worse. So I think that's a good thing, I guess.
I think it's an argument to be made that also G2 kind of are responsible for losing game 3 and 4. I think they had significant leads. I think they threw. Maybe this is Copia. Maybe this is HopEUm. I'm not sure on that one. Nymaera, I see you nodding, and I know you're chomping at the bit here. What did you make of the finals? And then let's start moving our way towards LPL intro.
Okay, G2 are the best early game team in the LEC. They're fantastic at the first 15 minutes. G2 are not the best team beyond 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and that's really scary. Because when I was watching those finals, the thing which I saw was, look, Skyyart is just a freak of nature. This guy is just inhumanly good at League of Legends. Skyyart is one of the best players in his role in the world, and that does mean something when you've got some really monstrous jungles out there, like, but like the likes of, your greats out there, Canyon, I mean, I guess Kanavi's had a bad year, right? Owner's fallen off. But you look at all these great junglers out there and you just think, okay, well, look, Skymon can actually hang with them. My problem is I see this early game understanding from Skymon and crew, and then something just doesn't work in the way that they problem solve later on into those games. And that really worried me, because actually KC, I think on the whole, were better late game, but they were coming into it with such a deficit that it made it a much more interesting series. So that's my overall kind of broad takes about that, and I think that will inform a lot of what we'll see at first stand from them. And the other thing which I'll flag up now, because, you know, there was a lot of positive stuff. I think BB had some really cool picks. I'm not happy with their 2v2 laning phase either. I think that Hansama and Labrov have some issues down there. Yes, it's against Callisto and Busia, who are a very good lane. But when you're now going up against some of the greatest bot lanes of the modern era, that's also something which I'd like to track as well. So those are my big takeaways from finals.
I have to say, though, I totally agree on the 2v2 part, but they got a lot better coming to the finals. I would say
listen, the bar was set low. Sola, the bar was set low.
Yeah, the bar was really low, that's true.
Is it Viper On good? Horrific. Is it Gala Vampire good? Is it Ruler Duro good? I'm not sure.
That's true. Let's do this.
It's nice to get...
Let's do this.
I just want to say, that's one sense, okay? It's nice to actually see this perspective, because in my mind, I was like, yeah, Hans and Labrov did pretty well compared to the regular season, but now seeing your perspective compared to the international teams might be a bit scary to think about there.
I want to do this really quickly, right? Because we're doing first stand. I'm just flashing on screen for everybody that is watching. And if you're listening on Spotify, we're on Spotify now. We're taking a look at the rosters, right? So Gen.G, FearX from the LCK, Bilibili Gaming, JD Gaming from the LPL, G2, Lion, Loud, and Team Secret Wales from APAC, Brazil, North America, well, Americas, as well as then Europe, right? So these are the 8 teams. We'll break down each of these teams and players throughout the course of the day. But the thing I want to start with before I come to Initialise is let's take a look at the LPL very quickly, because LPL Split 1 during the regular season had 137 games. That's more the entirety of lock-in as well as LEC versus. Then playoffs, 77 games. That's nearly as much as the entirety of the LEC, right? That's a baseline. So Initialise, kick us off in terms of like, let's go very high level. What did you think of the overall LPL before we get to one of the teams that you can intro?
Yeah, absolutely. So where the LPL ended up was quite an interesting place, because again, we ended up in this format a little bit like last year for those of you who were watching LCK, where we kind of had a split of tiers in terms of which teams were playing in which groups, because there are so many teams in the LPL that they've made this decision to stratify the teams somewhat. So I won't talk about the teams in the lower groups. We had 3 groups basically. Eventually, some of those teams did make it to playoffs, but the grand majority of the teams, in fact, all of the teams that made the upper reaches of playoffs were all from that upper group, Group Ascent. And that Group Ascent group was Anyone's Legend, who didn't change any players from last year. That team that went to a number of internationals was very, very strong. The Panda team, if you remember their logo, has Tarzan in it. All very exciting. The only thing they lost was Tabe. And that's important because Tabe ended up on JDG. And for context, people like I Will Dominate were handed pictures of Tabe in the visage of Jesus at the LCS playoffs because they so loved and so respected. Tabe is right up there as one of the GOATs of coaching. That's the kind of level that people have of him from fans and stuff around the world. BLG, Weibo, JDG, as I just mentioned, Top Esports, and Invictus Gaming. Top Esports and Invictus Gaming had some weird stuff with like a lot of rookie players in there. So despite being a upper group team, we're struggling a little bit. IG still has rookie, of course, but weren't quite there. That was all well and good. What then happened in the regular season was we'd have about a week, maybe 2, of a team looking like the best team in the league, and then something would happen that would lead to their utter downfall, and so we could trust no one for a variety of reasons. We had like rumors of Bin walking out of the team, and they were calling up replacements because there was massive arguments within BLG. JDG were talking about potentially replacing Junjo, who just commented in, and those rumors were coming around. Weibo had Xiaohu teleporting into 4 people, and then their AD carry would do the same, and you were going, what is happening in the LPL?
So really quick,
and it made for very
to interrupt this, by the way. Look, the LPL is always an entertaining watch, okay? I want to check if the stereotypes are still true. I'll also mention this, that regardless of the gameplay drama, there was also professional drama, which has been discussed at length. I know you guys have your own podcast where you have covered that topic. We're not covering that today. I want to make this just very clear. Today's talking about the teams, talking about first stand, but I am acknowledging that there was stuff there, right?
So, do you want a bigger breakdown on it? I just recorded something yesterday on that, by the way. So there is information out there. So that'll be on EuroLeague. I did that with Richard's Wrath and Kira, so that'll be probably releasing at the time of this kind of coming out. This will be releasing either today or the day after, so that'll be there.
Okay, awesome. I mean, look, like I said, it's a significantly heavier topic. That's not what our focus is, which is why I'm just calling it out. Sola, can I just check? I know outside of co-streaming the LEC, you're obviously competing and playing and streaming yourself. Have you watched a lot of the other regions? I'll put my hand up and say I haven't. I watched the playoffs LCK,
Yeah.
and I didn't watch anything else. So this is all fresh for me.
Actually, the only region that I have watched a bit is the North America or the Americas. So
Amazing.
might seem kind of odd if watching another region. I choose to watch America, but it's just out of like a friend of mine co-streams it, and so it's entertaining to watch. But
everyone appreciates a bit of charity.
I'm pretty fresh. Exactly. Yeah, you have to.
This is good though, because
people in need.
What we'll do then is once we get Initialise and Nymaera to give us an intro on the teams, then maybe you can give us a little bit of a take on Lion Gaming, and I'll give us a little bit of a take on G2, and then we can discuss expectations. So Initialise, give me like a 3-minute monologue. Nymaera, feel free to jump in as well. This should be combo. Pick one of the teams, either Bilibili Gaming or JD Gaming, and tell me about them. What can we expect, and how badly will they be beaten by G2?
So I'll start with BLG, because we were having this conversation with you guys about G2 and their mastery of the early game. BLG are that to the nth level. If you want an example of this, go and watch JDG versus BLG, not in the finals, but in the upper bracket finals that went to 5 games. And if you look at the average gold lead in that game, BLG had over an 8,000 gold lead in every single game. It was ridiculous. They were curb stomping them for the first 20 minutes. And then JDG would manage to find their way back in, because BLG, for all their incredible strengths as early laners, as side lane players, as skirmishers, cannot team fight to save their lives from anything resembling an even footing. They are not good objective fighters.
Can I jump in? I love this, by the way. That is such a great summary already. I'm going to read some stats. So win rate, 27 and 13. This is Bilibili Gaming. Average game length, 32 minutes. Average goal differential at 15 minutes is plus 1,100 goals across 60 games. And they win 80% of the games when they are ahead at 15%, like 78%. I mean, those numbers are ridiculous, Sam.
Yeah. And like, again, part of it is like basically they came into playoffs, finally got themselves locked in and played wonderfully. Bin was laning super well again. Viper and On had been basically duo scrimming just Ruler and Duro from Gen.G. So they were just repping games and games and games to their duo lane got a lot better. Knight locked in. Shun, returning to the team after a year away, has really reinvigorated how they want to play the game. The solo laners feel a lot more locked in, a lot less isolated. That's all great. And basically what we found was, if BLG can play for skirmishing in a side lane, play for not 5v5, it's a great time.
If you make the stats just about playoffs, by the way, just look at the gold lead just from playoffs, because that's just, you go to the tournament, you go to LPL playoffs, then go down to it. So it was 1,100, right? Just have a look again. Double that in playoffs. That's how much we're talking here. 2,000 gold lead differential on average at 15 minutes. This team are like... There was... I think it was Danny who said this about the difference about playing between Gen.G and T1 in LCK, where it's like, when you play against a Gen.G, you have to be very good. They will systematically grind you out. If you are not as good as a team like BLG in the LPL, they actually just violate just the basic principles of the game. They don't. It just doesn't feel like a regular game of League of Legends. Like, BLG are one of those teams which has such a crazy roster on paper, where if they get those leads to smooth over the cracks in the chemistry that's not quite there yet, this team looks just incredibly hard to beat. However, BLG, just because this will be what Sam would have jumped onto later, BLG has also stood for a different acronym, Trevor. It has been bad late game. Because the other thing which Sam is not saying is, oh, this JDG, well, not the grand finals, the upper bracket finals, well, that did go to 5 games. They did lose 2 of those games from like 8,000 gold leads as well. It was kind of crazy. This team is actually not too dissimilar from G2 in the way that Sam was describing them and where I was describing them as well. Very good early game. But they do sometimes lose their heads around some more complex scenarios late game, and that can lead to situations where they can get dragged into front-to-back 5v5s against teams which are very well set up for that, and that can actually be their downfall. So we are accepting that our champions have flaws here too.
So anything to add on this?
Yeah, I feel like that has always kind of been the case with Chinese teams though, right? Like they've been individually insane over the last couple of years, but internationally, when they face up against Korean teams or teams that can match them in lane, it feels like they start to do weird mistakes because they are not used to not playing from ahead, kind of. At least that's like the
it depends
casual
on the
world's
team.
experience that I got from Chinese teams.
Yeah, it depends on the team. Anyone's Legend were a much better late game, cerebral team fighting team, and they were a Tabe team, so that helped them. And obviously, you go back to JDG 23, the super team, and they were very, very good at that too. And this is where kind of like when you view LPL as like a homogenous group of teams, that's where you get like, I think, misled by that, because actually it is a team by team thing. It's why when, you know, Faker talks about like the LPL LCK rivalry, it's like, well, no, it's actually just about individual teams, and every year different teams come about, right? The thing about this specific BLG lineup is that because you have Shun back, they're very different from the jungle situation last year. Shun is the chemistry guy for BLG, and as Sam was saying, it's really important that he's back on that team.
I'm going to move us on very quickly because we do have limited time. So, Nymaera, pick up JD Gaming and talk to me about this one while we also have some stats on screen as well.
So we've talked about the importance of Tabe. He was on BLG in 23, went on to anyone's Legend in 25. He's now on JDG, and as Sam was saying, he is an absolutely crucial piece. I believe Tabe has broken at least the LPL, maybe the international record for qualifying for an international event with his 4th domestic team. That is nuts. Coaches aren't meant to do that with so many teams, but Tabe just manages to do that somehow. And the reason why he'd hopped ship from Anyone's Legend to this team is that potential is the name of the game for JDG. I thought JDG would be good. I didn't think they would be good at this point in the year. This is a bunch of players which I think can level up to a very high level, but this is also a group of players which have not played together necessarily before. Xiaoshu, the only remaining member from 2025, he's their top laner, and he's deserved the top team for a while, and I think JDG, the team that they put together now, should be that. They brought in the mid-jungle from the Flying Oysters from last year of LCP fame to try and integrate them back into LPL. Of course, Gen.G had played there and technically won a world championship from 2021 on EDG. Honkyu, a wonder kid as well. Brought in veteran Gala, and then this kind of hotshot rookie in Vampire. Very inconsistent, very high ceiling, very low floor. And this team altogether, I thought, yeah, they have the stuff to make it work. They still shouldn't have been here over anyone's Legend. This is an overperformance, and this is definitely kind of accelerating the timeline that I thought for them. I'm really excited to see this team because they're so different from BLG. BLG are a 2v2 skirmish team playing through mid-jungle, playing through individual power. JDG play through 5v5 late-game team fights. And the most important member of JDG, because again, JDG is also a different acronym, Trevor. JDG is Gen.G Dice Gaming. Everything is about the most important player on the Rift. It's Gen.G. He might not be their best player, but if Gen.G is ahead, this team is online. When Gen.G is shut down or can't engage properly, so we saw a game in playoffs and finals even of Jarvan into Poppy as the sole engage. That's unplayable. Basically, this team falls apart. Weirdly, they do have some veterancy in Gala, obviously, but he's not the kind of guy that will shot call a team. So when Gen.G's behind, you have a rookie-ish support. I know Vampire's been playing for a few years, but this is his first international, first big team, really. He doesn't pick up the slack there. However, when Gen.G's online, fantastic team fighting team. I think they're a better 5v5 team than BLG. So if they get to like tank frontline back to back, front to back, this team has some real threat. So that's what I've got them for. Sam, any quick hits in there?
I'll just say, as I'm saying, we're scrolling through those numbers. Don't be led astray by the goal difference at 15. That's all BLG skewed by BLG throwing 8k leads against them.
They had 9 games against them.
Exactly. And it was rough because BLG are so monstrous in the early game. That has really warped those numbers. JDG are actually quite good early as well. For all they specialize in those 5v5 moments around dragons, they are a dragon stacking team. Actually, one of the strengths of JDG is early jungle pathing for Gen.G to get him ahead and get the game rolling from that. When that was happening, that was often how they were getting moments against BLG, which was when they did get those games there, which was quite key. Late game Kha'Zix team fighting, for goodness sake. I will also note that, again, similarly, some people who are only going to watch some of the playoff stuff might raise an eyebrow about why are we saying Xiaoshu so good? Didn't he just get blasted 3 games in a row by Bin, 4 games in a row by Bin? What's going on there? He's a really good player. He just got binned. It happens. Giga Bin occasionally turns up and makes your life very hell.
The entirety of G2 got binned so many times. We've all been specifically G2 and Bin. But what I'm hearing, Sola, is we have a shot. I'm hearing that there's a chance, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm hearing too. So get Gen.G behind and we win, right?
Yes.
I'm taking notes for G2 right here.
Yes.
Legitimately, I think of like
Okay.
specific matchups look. I think JDG, if Junja's on a good early game read, like very hard to beat this team. But I look at the junglers at this tournament. I look at Inspired on Leon. I look at Skywmond, who again is just a freak of nature on G2. That is actually, this is actually, despite the name of the podcast, this is not completely HopEUm. It is a legitimate win condition. Just shut down Junja.
The question is whether or not G2 is going to show up, right? Whether or not they're going to show up. Okay, let's do a very quick thing, right? So we've got a brief introduction to the LPL teams. Sola, I'm going to give you a moment just to think about either Lion or Loud. Tell me which ones you watched, and do a little bit of intro next. But
yeah, I watched the Lion games mainly.
Fantastic. That's actually even better for me. Let's take a quick look at the bracket here for First Stand 2026. First and foremost, massive upgrade in format. I'm not even going to bother touching it. Last year's Circle of Suck. Congratulations to CTB Flying Oyster. They did really well, but we're not doing a history lesson, and I'm really enjoying this conversation. We're in the group with Bilibili, FearX, G2, and Secret Whales. Later on in the episode, I'm actually going to break down Team Secret Whales with the APAC co-streamer Carix. So we'll get to that later. But let's start. Sola, Lion, they're over on the other side. They had a pretty good run. What's your take on the team?
They did, yeah. I think it was quite a big surprise that they actually made it. Everybody expected Cloud9 to win, kind of like as per usual. Team Liquid bombed out a bit with their roster this season. But yeah, as already mentioned, Inspired is playing on Lions, so kind of expected for him to be at an international event again. He is one of the best junglers, not only in their region, but still in the West, I would say. He's hyped up over the last couple of years, and I think it's pretty deserved. But also their bot lane has been smurfing insanely. Like Berserker is still probably one of the best imports that the region had for the last couple of years. Like right now, and I think that's also something we might have to talk about a bit more if we talk about G2's chances of winning. Lane is incredibly important. Just being individually skilled, mechanically outplaying your opponent, especially in bot lane. You have a lot of double range lanes like Ashe, Seraphine, Caitlyn, Bard, Ezreal, stuff like that. So being mechanically gifted is incredibly helpful. And Lion's bot lane has a lot of hands, so that has helped them win against Cloud9 as well. And I would say also Dokla had some spicy picks in playoffs. He played Vayne top, he played Varus top. So he's kind of like a range top lane connoisseur.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Aurelia, I didn't see that game, but I saw the stats, yeah. So I think having a player that has some aces up his sleeves, especially in top lane and fearless drafts,
it's not going to happen at first stand. It's not going to happen. I mean, hang on. Best of fives, maybe.
Against
maybe. I just don't believe it.
Vayne top lane. How great would that be? Just going 0-12, but having a vibe, bro.
I'm just saying, editor, you have your clip now. Oh, it won't happen at first stand, and then we've got like the MLG montage.
I'll do this very quickly. I'll do this very quickly for G2, right? For G2, it's a tale of two halves. 6 and 5 in the regular season, and even though numbers are good, frankly, this team was disappointing. The regular season games, the fact that it came down to the very last match to even qualify for playoffs, G2 just weren't firing on all cylinders, right? Because this is the G2 HopEUm podcast, we've talked a lot about them. I'm just going to skim over their playoff run because they weren't challenged until the final. In the final, the games that they lost, I believe, was because of them. I don't want to take anything away from KC. Please don't disregard how well KC played. But in both Game 3 and Game 4, G2 had advantages and then threw them, right? And I think every single player stepped up in playoffs for G2. I will say specifically, Skywmond was just on another level. Caps has been consistent the entire year. Skywmond, I think, was a little sketchy in regular season. I think he looked beyond godlike in playoffs. Hansama and Labrov are my biggest concerns coming into first stand, right? So now, gentlemen, we've done a very brief intro. We've done very little on some of the other teams. We're going to be speaking to Skyyart and Wadid about LCK later. I'm going to ask them this same question. Nymaera, how will the groups go, and who are you favoring to win first stand based on the information you have right now?
Okay, I think that BLG beat BFX. Look, I think that Diablo is just incredible, but BLG's solo laners are going to crush BFX. And I think that will probably happen to whatever happens to the next team that comes up against them as well. So I think it's likely to be BLG G2 winning that. Well, okay, I'm not sure about Team Secret Worlds just because G2 has such a interesting history with Vietnamese teams. But I think regardless of what happens in that group, I think that BLG make it out, and then it's a toss-up for the second team, depending on how well BFX's first-time international players come through.
I mean, also for everybody that doesn't know, FearX, second seed coming out of LCK, incredible run. If you haven't watched the LCK, like their story was
Quite
amazing to
surprising as
watch.
well, yeah.
But the final Sola was so disappointing. Like, unfortunately expected, but really disappointing.
It always kind of is, right?
Yeah. Sola, what's your take from what we've heard so far?
So what I'm hearing based on the LPL information is BLG is incredibly good at laning, and I feel like this season is all about laning, getting leads, pushing, especially bot lane. I don't think I've seen a single competitive game where an AD carry with the 2k lead has lost. So I feel like winning bot lane and snowballing that lead is just incredibly important. So if BLG are actually that good individually, then I feel like they might even take it all, and probably we're gonna get like a good old Chinese Korean scenario,
Yeah.
BLG against Gen.G in the finals.
Specifically on that, I can already see into the future and tell you what BLG Gen.G, which I think is likely a final matchup, will go like. BLG will try and snowball through individual skirmish potential. They'll try and get ahead of the game, and they're going to make one mistake. Gen.G will latch onto the game, and they won't be able to finish it. That will be
Listen,
the
one
way
thing,
that goes.
boys, listen. Let's not disregard, okay? EMEA made finals last year. Right? LEC was in the finals. KC were there,
And
right?
that's
Don't
so
come here and
wonderful,
give
Trevor.
me
Oh,
don't
that's
come
so
here and give me a
wonderful.
Korea
Oh,
China
that's very
biased
cute.
prediction.
Oh.
Guys, is it a fact? I have technically correct information here. Initialize, what's your take here?
The name of the podcast, guys, is sometimes very relevant. We'll just make sure that is out there. I think there are some incredibly stacked teams, and again, because we have got more than one team from LCK and LPL this time around, those additional teams are very scary. I think I somewhat agree with what Al is saying. BLG and Gen.G's are likely finals. Very different styles of teams. Gen.G obviously incredibly controlling, but the thing is, they're probably the most complete team as ever are Gen.G. They play most things very, very well, which is very scary. BLG, very, very, very good at the early game, but a little bit flawed there. As for playoffs, as it stands, BLG should take down FearX. I love Raptor. I think he's great fun. Everyone talks about Diablo, but I think Raptor's good fun. I think he's going to have a horrible time in the jungle when On and Shun are laughing their way to invades every 10 seconds. When they're ahead of the game, On is a psychopath. Go watch some of his Bard games.
And also, let's not forget the fact that
should be good fun.
once Skymon is unleashed as well, he's going to destroy FearX. He's going to have that playoff thing.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
yeah, of course,
so
yeah.
Initialize, I'll come to you for the second group in a second, but I think we're pretty much leaning. So the group A is Bilibili Gaming, FearX, G2 Esports, Team Secret Wales. The hope is that BLG and G2 advance, but it depends on how G2 show up against FearX. It depends how good Team Secret Wales are, because G2 has a history of playing to their opponent's strength, meaning if there is a significant disparity, well, G2's floor all of a sudden becomes a lot lower. I think that is a fair
They
statement
unlock
to
the
make.
basement, yeah. It's not the floor
right.
anymore.
There we go. That's a great line. Okay. So Initialize, our second group, Gen.G, JDG, Lion, and Loud. The real question I have is, what hope do we have for the Americas when you think about Lion and Loud? Because it should just be a Gen.G, JDG advancing.
So we've already talked about what JDG actually stands for, and it's Gen.G Dice Gaming, and it still stands true. And I look at Loud and Leon in particular, actually, Lion in particular, Inspired took Blabber apart in the finals. Blabber, who had been on such a good tear, had been right back to form. We were so excited to see Blabber back as one of the best junglers in LCS, all that kind of jazz. And in the finals, Inspired, early pathing, took Blabber out of the game on repeat. If you are going to deal with JDG, taking Gen.G out of the game on repeat tears the engine room out of that team. And for all they are exceptional team fighters, and again, I saw them win games from 11,000 gold deficits against BLG because they team fight that well, and because Tabe is also an excellent drafter. Expect very good JDG drafts, especially if they've done their homework. That will give them their own edges, but a team who does end up against JDG could theoretically take Gen.G out of the game, and when you've got players like Inspired, you have got someone with the capacity to do that. There's your copium to make that happen.
Sola,
Gen.G.
what are your chances here for Lion based on what
Yeah,
you
I
see?
mean, honestly, I kind of agree. I think Lion are gonna stomp Loud probably, and then I feel like NA teams are unusually good at almost winning internationally. Like they are always
It
having
sounded
really
great, and then
good
you added
games.
so many adjectives that I'm not feeling as great anymore.
Yeah, I mean, gotta be kind of realistic, but I really like watching them internationally. I feel like they play like they want to win, right? They don't play like they are scared. Last year Worlds was really nice to watch. I feel like FlyQuest had so many good games. They were so close to actually making it, and also they are on the back of Inspired. So I feel like the assessment that Inspired is kind of like the Western jungler to beat the Chinese ones, to the Korean ones, is kind of true. So of course JDG is highly favorite. And against Gen.G
Give me
it's probably going
if
to be
you
even more
if you
difficult.
were to
But
if you were going to give them a percentage chance, right? Let's just assume Gen.G take the top seed. Let's just presume
yeah,
that they play the way that they should, right? What are the odds that Lion make it over JDG percentage wise? Are we talking 90-10? Are we talking 80-20? Are we talking
I'm giving them at least 25%. Let's give them 25% of making it
75-25?
out.
Nymaera, ball to
I
you.
think that's fair.
Yeah, no, I actually think that you look at the matchup. I mean, Inspired is incredible. If he shuts down Gen.G, you have a winning angle. You have a winning angle. I think that JDG have a blueprint to beat them. We have seen that. Now, obviously, they're going to come in well prepped as well. But if they don't respect Lion, then Lion can beat JDG.
Hang on.
That's a threat.
How can they be well prepped? Didn't they just finish their final like 3 days ago? Like,
Because they have Tabe. Because they have Tabe. Again, it's just look. Sometimes you just it really feels very unsatisfying as an analyst, and just like, well, it's just Tabe. Because I could be there giving you like 15-minute PowerPoint presentations. Tabe's a good coach. Maybe he'll prep them really well. I'm sorry, it is just that simple. But if Lion come in with a really good early game plan and Inspired manages to kind of like drive the dagger in, I think Lion are actually a good enough team to really upset JDG. They do have first-time international players and players like Vampire. Vampire has actually probably been their best player across playoffs, but he has an incredibly low floor. And despite all the hub, this guy is a locked cam support player with a very low floor. If he starts faltering, this guy is going to absolutely just fall through the floor. And I think that's a real worry for them. If they get under their skin, I think that Lion can actually beat them. Even if I don't think they're favored, I see like the Dune golden path.
Okay, I quite like that. And if we're going 75-25, I like that. Just before we start to wrap up here, let's talk very quickly about BLG and G2. Specifically, the angle that I want to follow up on that one is the mindset, the mentality. G2 looking at Bin like that dog with the war flashbacks looking at the cupcakes in the kitchen. You know the meme? I'm like,
yes.
Right? I mean, does G2 actually have a shot? If BLG is a better version of G2, is it literally just who shows up on the day? Or are we going 10%?
Trev,
Yeah?
Sola, and look, I'm gonna I need you guys to sit down. Let me hold
I
your
am
hands
sitting
here
down.
digitally. There's a thing that happens in League of Legends where in pro play, where if two teams try to do the same thing, but one team is just better at it and the other team doesn't have that many other ways to play the game, the team that can't do it as well has a very bad day. And I think the war flashbacks may continue and morale will not be improving. I'll say Skymond is great. There is a world where maybe you draft some crazy enough, and in fairness, G2 have had some fun picks here and there. If you can find that angle to get Caps and Skymond off to the races, and we all know Caps, Claps versus Craps, if you can have that happen versus Knight, maybe that's your way in. I fear for top, I fear for bot, I fear for what happens as those early skirmishes roll around and G2 are hit in the face repeatedly in the early game. But hey, if we're on a HopEUm podcast, take as many huffs as you need, boys, because you're going to need
all I'm hearing is there's a chance. All I'm hearing is there's a chance. I have my notes though. Okay, guys, this is such a great introduction. I know we're not going super, super deep because, like, honestly, we could spend hours just talking about the picks. We could spend hours talking about the meta, but this is supposed to be a first-time primer. The last thing I'm going to ask before I turn my attention to LCK is going to be this. Nymaera, who wins first stand and why? And I will be documenting this and tracking it over the course of the tournament.
Gen.G wins first stand. If they don't, it will be a historic collapse given the advantage they have coming into this tournament. Every single player can rely on every single other player to carry when they have a bad game. They are the best systems team within the entire tournament, where if something goes wrong, they understand what is going wrong and they can adapt very, very quickly. That same kind of self-awareness mid-game is not present to that level in another team. I think Gen.G, you can very rarely catch them off guard, and because the tournament is best of 5, you're definitely not doing that 3 times in a series. Gen.G should win.
Wow, fantastic. Hard to follow that one, but good luck. Initialize.
Look, Alex, you're my brother. I love you. You're a traitor.
Go on.
Take that shirt off. Why are you wearing the BLG jersey and giving me this kind of statement? Get out of here. Look, that's a great response from Alex. It's the correct response. He's wrong. They're wrong. They don't get how this works. Because let's be real, Bilibili Gaming are...
That's the right shirt right there.
There we go. All right,
That's
all right. Look,
Oh my God, what happened to me? I feel so European now.
So confident in their systems, so sure they could trust their players, until Knight is going to come up there, Lancelot from the LPL, and he's going to slay the great beast of Gen.G with the assist from his team, because the early game will be so rampant, the bin will be so giga-sized, that they will have no ability to use their systems, because there'll be pieces on the floor, because BLG have kicked them into them. They're going to be down 5,000 gold. They are not used to play against a team that are this incredible in the early game. They're never going to get a 5v5 because BLG have learned, Trev. They have learned.
I like this.
They don't have to 5v5. They don't have to do that. They can play for skirmishes and side lanes and snowballing the game, and BLG are going to go, Gen.G, you're so used to being around these dragon things at the same time in 5v5s now. No, that's not how the game is played anymore. Welcome to a new era of League of Legends. Welcome to the Bilibili Gaming League of Legends. Get ready for the railgun they are named after to go straight through Gen.G's head.
Sola, good luck following that. By the way, once you tell me the name, I'm going to step away for 1 second, but don't panic. Okay, who are you predicting, Sola, and why?
Yeah, first I wanted to say Gen.G, but after this inspiring speech, I kind of got swayed. So I'm gonna say 3-0 Gen.G still. So nice try. But, I don't think BLG is gonna make it. I think Gen.G is just too good, and the only thing that can stop Gen.G, like over the past couple of years, has always just been nerfs. I feel like internationally, high stakes, worlds, do or die, the year's a success or is a failure. That's the only thing that can stop Gen.G. And I think like first stand is not high stakes enough. First stand is just like a stroll in the park, and they're just gonna be like, we play some League of Legends, and they're just gonna win. That's what I think.
I apologize. I missed the laugh. You're going BLG and you're saying Gen.G choke, just to summarize?
No. I was baiting.
Completely baited. It's like, well, that's great.
No, I'm going to say Gen.G, smooth walk in the park.
Okay, smooth walk in the park. Okay, well, listen, I'm going to do this then. I'm going to take my headset off because I'm going to say goodbye to you while I'm doing this. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm huffing. I'm going HopEUm. Who's going to win first stand? I'll give you my prediction in a second and why it's nonsense. Right. I'm going to say thank you so much. Sola, Initialise, Nymaera, fantastic little introduction. Congratulations to Initialise and Nymaera. You guys are going to be co-streaming the entirety of first stand, right?
Yes, we are. We are going to be co-streaming it, and we're also going to be doing that from the G2 office in Berlin as well. So if you want to come say hi to us, come say hi to us there. I don't know whether either of you are going to turn up to that as well, but obviously feel free to come say hi to us in person. We're going to be having a lot of fun. Keep your eyes out for some content we're going to be doing around that. It should be a great time.
If you're in Berlin, the G2 Army and the G2 office are going to be doing watch parties. This is actually supposed to be an advert, but now you've made it one. Where can we find your co-streams, Alex, Nymaera?
Yeah, we on Nymaera as well. I actually completely didn't realize that it hadn't been announced yet, actually. Oh, dear God. Okay, fine, whatever. That's how we break news. Whatever, that's fine. Nymaera is the stream. Oh, bloody hell, G2 editors, don't shoot me.
Dude, you're literally out there. It's announced. It's out there. So, anyways.
Yeah, but the actual okay, whatever.
Sola, are you going to be co-streaming? Are you going to be doing, what are you doing over the next week?
Yeah, I will be co-streaming most of the games as well. I think I have like 1 or 2 games that I'm going to have to skip, but going to be exciting. Going to be an intense week for sure. I'm not used to 2 best of 5s a day for 7 days straight, so It's gonna be exhausting, but
Welcome.
amazing, hopefully.
Yeah, you can get some tips from the guys over there. They'll be able to give you some advice. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to say you can drop from this call right now. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for explaining everything to us. We'll definitely check the stream out. I might see you in the office, but no promises, guys. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
By the way, G2 are winning. You're all wrong.
Bye-bye.
G2 are winning. Okay,
G2.
oh, you're all wrong. Right? There you go. Yes, it's exactly what I wanted. Thank you so much, producer. So I'm going to give my prediction and say that G2 are going to surprise absolutely everybody and win first stand. Last year, Carmine Core made it to the final. If they can make it to the final, G2 can win it. So there you go. All three of them are going to be co-streaming the first stand. So make sure you tune into them. I have more of our G2 co-streamers coming up in just a second. We're going to swap things out and say hello to Skyyart and Wadid, and then learn a little bit more about Gen.G and FearX. So we'll see you in a few seconds. And of course, I mentioned we're going to be back with two very special guests, and I will introduce them in just a second. Now, as many of you know, if you've watched previous episodes of HopEUm, Skyyart is our resident LCK expert. Also, he loves the LCK. He talks regularly about how much better it is, how much stronger the teams are, and now we're going to get his opinion. But to complement Skyyart is one of my all-time favorite former European players, somebody that I haven't spoken to in a significantly long time. It's nearly a decade, and somebody that I know has a long and storied history with G2 Esports. It is Wadid. How are you guys doing today? Wadid, welcome to your first episode of HopEUm.
Hi everyone. As you mentioned, I'm known as a G2 player before, but now working as a LCK global crew and official LEC co-streamer in Korea as a G2 creator. Good to see you guys here.
That's what. Just really quickly, do you still get
Nice.
Do you still associate G2 with your brand, or is it so long ago that it doesn't even count?
I still keep communicating with the team, and we are still in a good mood, yeah.
That's what I like to hear. Skyyart, how are you doing today? And are you excited to talk about LCK?
Yeah, I'm excited, and I mean, Wadid here. I'm very happy. I'm a viewer of your show, so it's a blast, and I'm an LCK fan, so I will cheer for LCK today.
Skyyart, can I ask you this question?
Yeah.
Just a few minutes ago, I got to speak to Sola. I got to speak to Initialise and Nymaera.
Sure.
Initialise and Nymaera are primarily LPL co-streamers. They've done over 200 LPL games this year already. Sola primarily is LEC. He's done some LCS. How many of the LCK games have you covered in addition to LEC this year?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't count.
Okay. A lot of it though? Like most of it?
A lot. Yeah, 60%, 65, something like this.
Okay, let me quickly introduce to our viewers in case you don't watch the LCK. Is for the LCK Cup 2026, it is a fearless draft. There's been 125 games played. For context for the two of you, the entirety of the LEC was 105 games. The entirety of LCS was around 70, right? So Wadid, can I ask you to help maybe introduce some viewers who don't watch the LCK? What do you think of the overall performance? How strong is the region? Like, how good is it looking when you think about the entire LCK Cup so far?
I mean, I think at the beginning, I was kind of worried about the format because we split 5 teams each, so we have different groups. So even if you are not winning a single game, you can still manage to go into the playoffs. That's what happened with the Brion. Like they went 0-5, but they were still in the playoffs because they were in the better group. So I was kind of worried about the quality of the games, but at the end, it was really good. And when you compare it to Europe, like we had the BO1. Was such a shit format, I would say. So I think it's still so much better to have these kind of different kind of format, and also I still think LCK had the better fundamentals, and at the end we had such a great game. So I feel pretty confident about LCK.
Skyyart, same question. When you think of the whole season so far.
Just like what did I think BO1 is for me not the best, but it's marketing, of course. I didn't really like the format neither last year, but I think they try something new, and I love this. I mean, coach can talk during games just several times, but it's very nice. Basically, innovation come from this kind of things. So I was positive last year. I was a bit more negative this year about this, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, LCK games doesn't, I would say, depend so much on the format, because basically on LCK, some of the teams are a bit better than others, but I feel a bit bad about HLE. I think HLE could have done, could have went a bit deeper, but facing Gen.G is not the best situation, obviously, sometimes.
Can I ask you to build on this? So can we take a look at this bracket that I have here, just so I can help explain to some of the viewers? And then Skyyart, I want you to tell me about the disappointments. So for the people who are listening on Spotify, and if you're watching, take a look at Group Elder, which is FearX, D+, DRX, KT Rolster, and Hanwha Life Esports. It's either 3-2 or 2-3, 3-2 scoreline, or 2-3. Then over in Group Baron, it's Gen.G, T1, Nongshim Red Force, Supers, and Brion. Both Gen.G and T1 go 5-0. Now, in case you're living under a rock, the second team representing South Korea at first stand is not T1, is not KT Rolster, is not D+, DRX, or HL. It's FearX. Skyyart, what happened to these big names? Where did they go?
To be honest, it was unexpected from my side. I really enjoyed their run. I was cheering for T1, let's be honest. But I mean, I love to see the game of Diablo. I don't know how to say it in English, but Diablo. And I mean, Kellyn, the meta, I think, was very, very positive for the bot lane of FearX. And I think Raptor is a genius in the jungle. I mean, I love watch this game. Is super aggressive. He played for bot lane. I think it's a good idea. And what a run. I mean, it's incredible. You cannot not be happy for them. I mean, they come from academy and they are just insane. What do you think?
Anybody again who missed it, just quickly, FearX took down T1 3-1 in the upper bracket. I've seen some people calling it the biggest upset in T1's history. I think that's a little bit bold, but like it was a massive surprise. And then FearX went on to take out D+ in the low bracket final in Hong Kong and face off in the final. What do you think of the run? And maybe what did? D+, they didn't make it. T1, they didn't make it. You know, did they choke or did FearX overperform?
So let me explain about this situation, and I think this is not really like special thing to happen at the beginning of the season. I think it's just a normal situation when it happens in the earlier of the year, because I think many teams try to change the roster and mix up the players with the new synergy. But I think for LCK Cup, we didn't have enough of games to mix up the players. So I feel like these upsets can always happen, but also I think some teams, someone like BNK FearX, they had such a good strategy, which is go for simple strategy. So they all knew that Diablo and Kellyn as a bot lane, they played so better on the bot lane altogether. So they always draft towards the bot lane. They always give support counter pick. So that was only one simple thing that they did. So that's why Gen.G was just target banning the bot lane and they kind of smashed on the finals, right? But I feel like T1, HLE, they tried to figure out something new, you know, like we have new AD carry, we have new jungler. So it's like, can we go for like strong top side or can we go for a strong bot side? I think that kind of happened, you know, in the LCK Cup. So I personally don't think they're doomed or anything. It's just, you know, like...
Agree.
It's just March. It's just we just started the season, so I think this can happen. So I feel like I just want to shout out to like BNK FearX once again, because they just simplified the strategy again with their coaching staff. I heard they were just communicating each other's like so much more like a friends at the same time. So I feel like that was the way for the LCK Cup.
Skyyart, what do you think of FearX? Maybe zoom out and help me understand. So we know the bot lane's good. We know Raptor is kind of a like maybe potential superstar in the making, but how do you see them as a team coming into first stand? For example, when we spoke to the LPL guys, they told me this. So BLG, the summary stands for bad late game. They're just really good early game, bad late game. JD Gaming is Junja Dice Gaming. They summarize it by saying if Junja shows up or he doesn't, okay? So what would be your summary for FearX?
I would be. I think it's bot lane team, and Raptor will play towards bot lane every single game, just like Sewa did. I think, to be honest, I think simple strategies will be enough in first 10 for most games, but they are pretty much mono-directional. I don't think Clear and Vikla are they are very, very good. Let's be honest, they are very talented, but I don't think they are the main reason of the success of FearX, and the teams will see it a bit, maybe. And if you can shut down the creativity of Raptor and, as what it said, get counter pick bot lane and maybe put Kellen into melee champions. I think Kellen is less good when he plays Braum, Nautilus, Alistar. It is, I think, less consistent. And if they can't play their hyper carry style enchanter, it will be maybe a problem for FearX, because it will less depend on Raptor and the eyeball.
The question I'll ask for you is, do you FearX like benefit a huge amount from playing in Hong Kong? Just a reminder that like the finals, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday was like they traveled internationally, they played not locally at a studio or even locally at a stadium, and in the past, some younger Korean teams have struggled internationally. So I think this is a benefit for them, right?
I think it's a benefit, but yeah, I think it's a lot of jet lag from when you go from Korea to Brazil. It's not easy. I don't think, I mean, if you're local, it's easier. So it will be, I mean, it can be pretty tough for some of the FearX players because they are less experienced. So maybe it will be not the best for them, but I still think FearX gonna surprise many people that don't watch LCK.
Let me speak about this one because I heard I'm really close friend with the BNK coaching staff, and I heard they offered the business class for the players.
Yes,
and they did.
Let's go.
So they're actually enjoying the travel. So like that's the great part.
Awesome. Listen, they've got to be celebrated. This is a brand new team that caused a massive surprise, a massive upset. If you're looking on stream right now, you can see the win rate in the LCK Cup. It was 18-15, 55%. Average game like 32 minutes. We do this for some of the other teams, like BLG, if I remember correctly, it's like 10 minutes ago. They're like plus 1,500 gold at 15 minutes. It's wild. For FearX, plus 137, went ahead. They win 64% of the games. I just want to hover on the picks and bans or the champions that they have played, because Skyyart, you did a really good job of kind of highlighting some of their strengths. But a summary, let's keep our eyes on Raptor. Let's see what Diablo and Kellen is going to end up doing. And now I want to turn our attention to Gen.G, right? LCK Cup, they dropped 2 games, right? 2 games, 20-2, 91% win rate, 1,200 goal difference at 15 on average. Obviously, they win 93% of those games. Massive CS difference. Half the games they get first blood, more than nearly 3/4, they pick up first tower. Wadid, is Gen.G just going to win first stand? How good are they? What did you think of them?
So I think the reason why Gen.G is the best team right now in the world, I feel like, is because every lane can carry. So you can just simply take it out from the finals that I mentioned when they play against BNK. So I think every team had struggled with the mid lane picks because you kind of have to ban Orianna and trade Azir. You have to give up stronger jungler. So it's like Azir, Orianna, Rise. Oh man, like this is giving me a headache. But they have Chovy, who can play Orianna. I mean, who can play Galio into Orianna, who can play Annie into Azir. So they can give more space for the team, especially the bot lane, which is most important lane in this meta. So that's why they could target ban the bot lane. So the BNK bot lane couldn't really have the better matchup. So I feel like draft is just most important thing. And I think that's why Gen.G players and Gen.G, they have stronger chance with the new coaching staff, Ryu. I think he really likes the standard draft. Nothing special, but they just have a better matchup. And like you kind of sack players with the kind of bad picks, I would say, But Chovy, he can still 1v9 with the Galio. He can still be really good on any. So I think that's the biggest difference. But also, I kind of want to spotlight the top lane Keen because he had 800 DPM in LCK Cup.
That
by
is
the way.
wild.
That's
That
highest
is
in his
wild.
lane. But also, that's
Ah.
higher than all the mid laners, by the way. So 800
Wow.
DPM is higher than all the mid laners is LCK. Do you know who's the first in mid lane? Is Chovy with the 799. So it's 800 DPM on the top lane,
He is better.
799 on the mid lane, and you have Ruler on the bot lane, right? And
Where's
you have
this?
Canyon covering all the side of the map. So yeah, I think that all start from the draft. So I feel like the draft is just most important thing in this meta to have a better matchup, win the lane, snowball with it, and that's just simple.
I mean, listen, can I do a quick shout out for Games of Legends? We're using the site for all of our stats. I want to show you really quick. So I've sorted this by DPM. This is across the entirety of the list. So Keen is up there, right? The only people above Keen right now, Diablo, Guma, Smash, Ju, Pace, Rule, like 80 carries, and then Keen is in a class of his own. I mean, that is wild, wild.
Yeah.
I'm terrified already because G2's in a group with Bin. And let's hope they make it out of the group. Then they have to deal with Keen as well. Like, oh, this is terrifying. Skyyart, talk to me about Gen.G. What's your take?
For me, the final was a massive outdraft. I think Ryu, he was traumatized 13 years ago, and now he wants to stop Faker from winning Worlds. He was FearX last year, and now he say, okay, let's build the Avengers. And I mean, the draft on the final for me is clearly on the side of Gen.G, and they are also the better players. So it's complex. And you know, Kin, he just picked Gwen. I think I've been sharing on this podcast that Gwen was OP. It was only 2 games in LEC basically, so the Gwen doesn't exist in Europe. Maybe we found out in playoff, but he just picked Gwen in blind. He doesn't ban anything. He just say, I will win the lane no matter what. And he won. I mean, Kin is the GOAT. I was a Zeus fan, but I think Kin, no one has been as consistent as it is. Basically his highs, but he has no lows. I mean, his high is the baseline. So Kin is just, for me, Kin is just maybe one of the best, if not the best Gen.G player. Is just incredible.
I mean, that's it's so tough because the entire team is so good. So it's like, look, you can pick out any one of them. I love what you said. Any lane or any role can carry. Any single one of those players can step up. So if one of them is not having a super good day, I want to use that as a springboard. Let's take a look at the 2 groups. Okay, so for first stand, I got to ask Initialise and Nymaera, who are the LPL guys. I got to ask Sola, who's our German co-streamer, like how things are going to play out. And we think that in Group A, Bilibili Gaming is going to be the favorite, right? So in Group A, you've got Bilibili and FearX in the opening game. Then it goes to G2 Esports and Team Secret Wales. On the other side,
I'm not sure Bilibili is better than FearX.
Oh, you're kidding?
I'm not sure Bilibili Gaming will win against FearX.
This is awesome. Listen, 10 minutes ago, I had Initialise saying to me he thinks Bilibili's going to win the entire thing and actually take down Gen.G. Tell me, Skyyart, why you think FearX are going to beat them?
Oh, you think Bilibili can... for me, Bilibili Gaming will not win Gen.G. I mean, it's not a hot take, but I think FearX, people will expect them to maybe lose against Bilibili Gaming, but I think Bilibili Gaming's at some trouble sometimes to play the macro map late game, and I think Korean team are very good at playing dragons and team fightings. So yes, they have very good mechanics, but if they are not very sharp in mid-late game, I think they can lose for sure. I'm not confident about the first game, to be honest.
But JDG are really good at team fighting, and they were able to take down BLG. I mean, what did? FearX over Bilibili. Who's better? What's your opinion?
So in general, I just feel like Gen.G, they're on the top, right? And I think the rest, the gap within the rests are just nothing. Like, I think every team can beat everyone. So I feel like Gen.G, they're just unbeatable, but I think rest of the teams are just literally the same. So that's why I feel like BNK has the same chance with the BLG, but also I think everyone is talking about, oh man, they are the rookies. BNK is gonna choke so hard, but what do
I
you
don't
mean?
think that.
They play
I
in
don't think
front
that.
of 140 people. So
Yeah.
like in Lowell Park, we have 400 people in the arena. And in Hong Kong, they had almost 10K people. And it's only 140 people in the fucking arena. So what do you mean about choking? You know, they're just playing in the I don't know,
Yeah,
playing in the PC bang. I
I
don't
think
know.
jet lag is more, I think, an issue than the people.
For sure.
I love you guys so much. This is amazing. Okay, Wadid, let's quickly say this, right? So I want to ask your predictions. Who's going to make it up next? But G2 play against Team Secret Whale. And Wadid, you know this better than anybody. You have history with the team. You've seen this team. G2, when they play against a team that's worse than them, will sometimes unlock the basement, and their skill will go into the basement, and they will take a shovel and they'll dig a hole, and then they'll keep digging, and they just keep digging until they can bury themselves. What happens, do you think, G2 against Team Secret Whales?
I mean, I think they just really like to open up the discussion on stage, you know, like about the draft. So that's why that keeps happening. But I think their recent games, they had such a great performance. Especially, I was kind of shocked by Broken Blade because he was the one who struggled the most last 2 years, I would say. Like he couldn't play the meta champion. He couldn't really win the lane whenever like he has a better matchup. But I don't know, him in the playoffs, I feel like he's on prime right now. Like he's winning the lane, solo carrying the lane, and like so I feel like we still have a really good chance. I mean, I don't think Team Secret Rails is the opponent that we have to worry about. I feel like we are good enough to beat them out.
Okay, very quickly, Skyyart, which two teams make it out of Group A? Bilibili, BNK FearX, G2, or Team Secret Whale?
Well, I will go for FearX and G2. But
FearX and G2, okay.
BNK and G2, yeah. But yeah, BLG gonna be hard. But I agree with what it said. I think Broken Blade last year, I wasn't sure he would match the quality of the top laners of the top teams. But wow, what a step up. And I really enjoyed watching his games, actually. And he was playing against, like, for example, Kana. Kana is not, I mean, big respect for Oscarinin, but it's not the same player. So,
Not the same.
so yeah, good job, Broken Blade.
Wadid, same question. Which two teams make it out of Group A?
I don't know, man. Like, I do believe G2 can make it, but I'm still thinking about like BLG, BNK.
Yeah.
But I would just go for BLG here, though. I think at the end, BLG, I think Viper is strong enough to carry the lane. So I feel like I just trust in Viper. So I think BLG and G2 gonna make it.
I mean, I want to see how G2
over BNK. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I think BLG BNK is the safest. I think, to be honest, I think Ansama is not. I think the problem in Europe is, I think, AD carry. When you watch, I mean, the junglers. I mean, Skymon was. Skymon, I love this game. He was so good.
Everybody. Yes.
Yeah.
But the question
was for me the MVP, to be honest, man. But
Caps
was
he do
amazing
that again on the international stage? That's also the question. Caps was amazing all year. I want to see if Skymon could do it international. And then I'm very concerned. Hansama and Labrov. That to me was the.
I'm more concerned about the bot lane in G2. I think the bot lane we are less good than Korean teams, and I think Viper is the guy. As you said, I think Viper is. There is a step for Ansama, and I think he needs to perform the most he has performed, or it will be a bit tough.
Yeah. Very quickly, do either of you watch the LCS or the CBLOL? It's absolutely fine if you don't, because we got some information from Sola. That's absolutely perfect. Over in Group B, Gen.G and JDG are the two teams that you're expecting to make it out of the group. I do have a conversation with the Asia Pacific English co-streamer Carix coming up, so I'll talk about Team Secret Whale there. But I got one last question for you guys, okay? I'm going to start with you, Skyyart. Who is going to win first stand and why? And I'll tell you this, Nymaera and Sola both said Gen.G. Initialise said BLG. Listen, I'm huffing the HopEUm. I said G2. Come on, if you're going to believe, I'm going all the way. But Skyyart, who wins and why?
I go. Let's go. G2. No, no. I think it's gonna be Gen.G. HopEUm, but I think Gen.G is just. They can even maybe lose not many more than 1 or 2 games. So it's if they lose 2 games, I would be. I mean, you see, if it's 3-2, I would be surprised.
Listen, they lost. Gen.G only lost 2 games in the entirety of the LCK Cup. So let's see if they lose more. I mean, Wadid, I know you're going to say Gen.G. So the question I'll ask is, who do you think will be in the final with them?
G2 for sure, 100%.
Okay.
Like no doubt, no doubt. I'm not even joking, by the way. Like I think it's gonna be happen. Like I think they just underrate the Europe so much, but I think we've got the fundamentals. Like we're not that bad. We just didn't have enough of games. We had fucking BO1, so
Right,
like
that's
we're
right.
we're good. So I mean I feel like we had enough of experience from last year. Like we proved ourselves in EWC. We also kind of proved ourselves in the Worlds as well. So I don't afraid of like them being an international tournament. But for Gen.G, I already mentioned so many things, but quickly I think the meta is kind of boring. Like there's nothing much to snowball except Drake. So all you need to do is just snowball with the Drake, right? So it's kind of boring. So it reminds me the old days when Samsung White, they just hard snowball with the one small jungle camp, like with the Mata, like shot calling all the things out. So that's why I think Gen.G is strong enough, because in the downtime, so between the minute 20 to 30, I think they just don't make the mistake. So I feel like that's why they are strongest. So
Can
I
I tell
think
you
if we can,
something?
yeah,
I
sure.
am so blown away by that mention, like in terms of old school and the old style. Samsung White. We've got Skyyart here who goes like he's so OG in League of Legends, Millennium, and Eclipse names you people don't even
You
know.
say I'm old?
Ryu, yes I
You're
am.
right.
Ryu is back. Ryu is back. I got to cast Ryu when he was on H2K at Madison Square Garden in 2016. Wadid and I haven't spoken in 8 years. The last time that you played with the G2 jersey was what, 2018, right? And now all of a sudden we've got this old school style. Hey, listen, I would love to see G2 in the final. If KC can make it to the final at first stand in 2025, we can in 2026. That was not fair at all.
I think it's our best chance for international event. I mean, we haven't played a lot of FearX this year, BO1, but I think more than ever it might be possible to do maybe a final, and it would be amazing.
It would be amazing. Listen, I'm going to do one last thing. I'm going to start wrapping up now, but because this is the first time we've had you on the show, I know that there's a lot of respect for your name here, for the impact that you did have with G2. Do you want to give a quick shout out to the European fans and viewers who'll watch this episode?
I mean, I've been watching LEC for like 3 years now, like every single game. So I love Europe so much. And as you know, I think Bane Kim, as like myself, born in Korea, but Wadid as a player, born in Berlin. I mean, I love Europe so much. So even though I work in LCK, I'm from Korea. Like if Europe team plays against LCK team, I'm fully supporting Europe team, by the way. So like I'm with you guys, and I'm here again with the G2. So I'm really happy to talk about this kind of stuff. So like it was really happy and it was really fun. I wish we can have another time with you.
Yes, absolutely. I'll tell you that's in his Wadid was born in Berlin. What a beautiful, beautiful sentence. Guys, thank you so much for your time. You guys can drop from the call. I'm going to say goodbye to you here, and I'll see you on the first stand broadcast. Go have some fun, guys.
Let's go G2.
Bye.
Thank you.
Let's go G2.
Let's go.
When they drop out, we do have another interview. We need to find out a little bit more about Team Secret Wales, but it's looking pretty one-sided right now. Gen.G pretty much across the board. Hey, I'm huffing that HopEUm. Another quick reminder that we are going to be on Spotify. Once this episode has finished, we'll be posting that on Spotify. The VOD will be on YouTube, and I would really, really appreciate if you could help spread the word. Let people know on social media. Maybe let people know on Reddit. This is a great first stand primer. It's a great introduction to all the teams. So yeah, help us out. Right, we're going to take one more little quick camera change. And when I come back, our final interview will be with Carix from the Asia Pacific region, helping break down a secret whale. All right, so I just asked for some help in promoting everything, and now, of course, we're going to carry on with another deep dive. You've probably gathered how the format works so far. We've covered the big dogs of the LEC, the LPL, the LCK, and now, because of the fact that G2 Esports is going to be facing off against Team Secret Wales, I wanted to make sure that I have the best person possible to help explain to you all of the information. Now, unfortunately, I have to speak to an Australian, but he's going to be the best that will be able to help us. Carix, it is a pleasure. For many people in Europe who may not know, South Africa and Australia share a rivalry that goes very deep, like France and Spain. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I haven't checked in the recent rugby results, but I'm sure if I did, we could get even more.
Well, listen, you're talking to the back-to-back World Cup champion here, brother. So let's not pull this out, okay? I'm a boca boca. No, more seriously, Carix. One of the things that I always do with any of the new guests on the show is I ask you to introduce yourself to our audience. Who are you? Where are you from? And what's your relationship to LCP?
So my name's Carix. I'm from Australia, as you can obviously tell. And my relation to LCP is basically I just was a huge VCS fan for years and years and years. I was part of VCS English, if anyone remembers that sort of unofficial stream back in the day. And then obviously the VCS got molded into the LCP, so my fandom just naturally followed over there. And I've recently started casting for the LCP, so I'm really keen to come and talk about it.
Fantastic. Okay, let's talk about the LCP. Throughout the course of the past hour, we've kind of introduced how the league performs. Wadid just finished telling us how he was a little nervous at the beginning of the year because he actually thought the LCK level was lower than he was hoping for. And he also just like outright said, we don't have enough games in March. Like we haven't played enough for teams to get good. That's why he thinks BNK FearX did well. So what's your introduction to the LCP? What's the level like? And how did the split one and the playoffs go at a broad level?
Look, so I think a lot of people with the LCP watched CFO last year really break onto the scene. They went to all 3 international events and performed really well in all of them. Obviously, this is now Team Secret Wales. People might be asking, where's CFO? They got ransacked, unfortunately. They lost several of their key players to the LPL. They're still a good team. If you are a Flying Oyster fan, they're still good, but they're just kind of rebuilding. They're sort of finding their feet again. The LCP is this league that amalgamates all these different regions. The former LMS, VCS, LJL have all come together. And I think what's really unique is it combines all of these play styles. You used to have these Taiwanese teams that played a bit of LCK/LPL light. They were never quite as good as those teams. They were still very good, don't get me wrong. But then you have the VCS that has always played its own style, has played very, very aggressively, has played super accelerated League of Legends. And now they are constantly playing against each other. And I think what's really unique about the LCP is these playstyles are put to the test. On the question of level, I do think it's lower than it was last year. I don't think Team Secret Wales is as good as CFO was. I think that was sort of a once in a blue moon team for the LCP, sadly. But I do think Team Secret Wales is the best thing that the VCS has sent in a very, very long time. And the VCS has always been a region that could challenge at these international events.
They did definitely surprise. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm nervous for G2, straight up. We'll get to this a little bit later because I have to be earnest about this. I pretty much only watch the LPL and the LCK playoffs outside of the LEC, so I'm definitely not clued up. When I watch Team Secret Whale at First Stand, it'll be the first time that I'm actually watching them. So I'm terrified because I don't know what to expect. Okay, just quickly before we dive into the team, Rafa, can we take a look at LCP stats? So I want to quickly highlight something that we talked about. The LCP split one had a total of 70 games. When we get to playoffs, it's 32. So in actual fact, it's even lower than the LEC. The LEC was a total of 105. You've seen this all. We've had this conversation. The next thing I just want to introduce is for Team Secret Whale. When we take a look at their entire performance, 22-6, 30-minute game time on average, goal differential of 15, 700, 900, 90% win rate when ahead. It's very dominant. Let's just quickly pop the playoffs. 9-3 in playoffs, and arguably slightly worse goal difference, but like exceptionally impressive stats. And I'll highlight the champions in a second. So we've taken a look at some of the numbers. Carix, talk to me about what they mean. What's the play style? What is the secret sauce for these secret whales?
So it is sort of classic VCS. It's very aggressive. You see, like that goal difference is not just because they're better than the other teams. It's because they force that lead. Quite often, what you often see with VCS teams is the first 10 to 15 minutes are incredibly scripted, and the script is aggressive. It's very, very rare that the coaches are coming up with, oh, we're going to pick scaling and just play back. It's okay for a little bit down at 15. It's always we want to be ahead. We want to force the tempo. And Team Secret Wales have just come together as this team that's able to do that better than I think a lot of LCP and VCS teams have in the past. I don't know if you want to go into like specifics of like champions and stuff that enable that at the moment, but the big
Put it
one...
this way. Put it this way. Which player do we need to watch? I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you an example. I've said this a couple times. I'm going to keep saying it's amazing. But Initialise gave me an acronym for BLG, bad late game. He gave me an acronym for JDG, Gen.G Dice Gaming. I've learned from Wadid that like absolutely every single player at Gen.G is a threat this year. There's every single one of them can like 1v9. So I'm kind of looking for that like water cooler tidbit on how you'd summarize the expectations. FearX, BNK FearX is about Raptor and the bottom lane, right? So what would you say is the summary? And if you do have specific champions, yeah, throw them out.
I think the heuristic is going to be if you're noticing Dire, something's gone wrong. Because Dire, this is like a tradition of the VCS is we don't have mid laners. We have never had particularly good mid laners out of Vietnam. We've had like a couple of okay players. Dire is actually quite good. He's probably the best mid lane I've seen come out of Vietnam, but that doesn't mean we want to see him. Because if we're thinking about him in the early game, he's probably dying and he's playing over aggressive with his toe. So if we're thinking about him in the first 15 minutes, I'm not happy. The player to watch in terms of good things is Pun. Pun hits these things like the volley bear, the set. He had a set game in playoffs that was just ridiculous. He sets the tempo of this team along with his toe. And that's where I'd be watching is like Pun is the conductor and we don't want to be thinking about Dire.
Well, listen, let's be blunt now. Is Pun going to be able to step up to Broken Blade? Dire is not going to be able to step up to Caps. I'm calling that right now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this specific matchup. How does Team Secret World match up against G2 Esports?
I actually think they match up reasonably well. I think like I'm just going to leave the mid lane to the side for now because that's a really tricky one. I think Pun has been really dominant. The LCP does have very strong top laners. Rest, Kiaya, these are players that when they've gone international previously, they have been able to take it to players like Broken Blade and other Eastern top laners. And Pun has done really well. I think he can. I think the bot lane, Eddie has not so much. I can't think of any huge highlight plays international from Eddie, but BA there certainly is. It wasn't too long ago that VCS bot lanes were solo killing Goomer and Carrier. It wasn't this VCS bot lane to be fair, but it was a VCS bot lane, and this one's even better. So I actually think in 4 of the 5 roles, they match up really well against G2. Unfortunately, that 5th role is Caps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the problem is you don't know if it's going to be Claps or Craps locking on the server. I think most of this year he's been really good. Just before I get your official stance and prediction here, how much of the LEC do you actually watch? What is your secondary stream like outside of LCP in terms of consuming content?
Well, it actually is mostly LEC. Can't. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch the Asian regions because they're just on at the same time as the LCP. Yeah. So I don't get to watch them. So I do watch a fair bit of the LEC.
Okay, so then let's just say you've watched all G2's games. While this is the G2 HopEUm podcast, I don't pull punches. They sucked during the regular season. They popped off in playoffs, and I think it's their fault that it went to 5 games in finals. This is something that has been echoed and shared by Skyyart, by Sola over the last hour. Depending on who shows up and whether Skymon does well, whether Hansama and Labrov step up, like in a best of 5 to open up first stand, who wins with what score?
To open up first stand, it's interesting because I think the answer is different if it's like the 3rd series. But if it's the 1st series, I have to back. I think it's Wales 3-1. That would be my prediction. I think.
No,
I'm
please
being
go. Please continue.
optimistic. I know I am. I think they can get on top of Caps. The thing that scares me is G2 just has more big game experience. They've got more
Yeah.
experience under the big lights, in front of the big crowd. Not something
Well,
that LCP team. Well,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll leave that one to the side. We'll
Yeah,
leave that one to the
anyway.
side. Wadid had some strong thoughts. I tell you what. So hold on, because I actually agree with you. Let me know in chat right now if you think that G2 will actually be taken down by Secret Whale, because I think they can be. The joke that I keep making is when G2 do play against teams that they should be better than, they find a new way to lower their expectations. They're an incredibly volatile team. It doesn't matter the roster, it doesn't matter the players. I think that's kind of proven true. And I do think Europe as a region has historically had a problem with Vietnam and Vietnamese players. So getting caught up, the only question for me is the best of 5. Like Secret Wales, do they have the depth? Are they going to do better in a Fearless? Because both regions have a similar number of games. I think I have more confidence in G2's depth, just as a region and experience of the players, regardless of not fully knowing the strengths of Secret Wales.
I think the person that will really struggle in Fearless, and it is that depth, is Dire. I think that's where a lot of this matchup hinges. If Caps comes in and he's peak Caps, then G2 wins 3-0. That's just the reality. He will walk out of lane 5-0, and that's not so much a comment on Dire as it's a comment on Caps. This is just not a role that the LCP can dominate in. But where I think the LCP and Team Secret Wales does have a real X factor, I actually just think they might have the second best bot lane at the tournament, maybe third.
Wow,
I'm being really
bold.
aggressive. But if you watch the finals, BA played like the best support on the planet. I'm not saying he's consistently the best support on the planet. I'm not that insane.
No,
in
but
that
this is
series,
awesome.
he was the best support on the planet.
For me, that really just helps focus my eyesight now, and I get to judge, because I think specifically G2's bottom lane really struggled. I think it's been one of the weaknesses. It's something that our viewers have heard consistently over the last hour and a half. So let's see, Eddie and BA, how they're going to show up. Listen, Carix, I have one last question before I let you go and I start to wrap up HopEUm for tonight. Who is going to win the entirety of First Stand and why?
I'd love to say Team Secret Wales, but I think that would be a very, very bold call. I think I just have to lean over to the LCK. I don't.
Yeah.
It could really go either way over there, but I just think that league is unparalleled at the moment.
Yeah, look, pretty much everyone else has predicted Gen.G. That seems to be the direction.
Yeah, it's hard.
It feels like it's a Gen.G tournament, but let's see. Maybe they'll get surprised. Carix, very short. We've just briefly touched on things, but as we get to these international tournaments and more later in the year, I would love to have you back on the show. Thank you so much for your time.
100%. Thanks for
Awesome.
having me.
Do me a favor, actually. Let us know, where can our viewers find out more about LCP and find out more about your streams and your broadcast?
So I'm on Twitter at CasterCarix. I tweet about a lot of things. You have to maybe wade through a lot of World of Warcraft posting. But I do also talk about LCP. I promise it's in there. And I'm on Twitch at CarixPBP. I stream not that regularly, but I go over games and all that. So yeah, if you want to talk about the LCP, particularly the BCS teams, I'm your man.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Carix, I'm going to ask you to drop from the call. That does it for our episode of HopEUm. We're going to say goodbye in just a second, but I'm going to say goodbye to you first. Cheers, dude.
Thanks for having me. See ya.
Now, that is going to be us wrapped up here for HopEUm as our first stand primer. That does leave just one last thing, and it's to take a look at our Winamax Ing predictions. We'll do it on the other side of this. And of course, it is customary around these parts to end every episode of HopEUm with our Winamax Ing predictions segment. Now, of course, because the games haven't started, they're all best of 5s, I figured I wanted to do something a little bit differently. I asked every single one of our guests on the episode that you just watched who they think is going to win. And their names, well, could be pretty obvious. Let's look at this. Nymaera, Skyyart, Sola, Wadid, Carix, all of them predicting Gen G. Initialise thinks that BLG are going to step up and surprise. And what I love to say is they're all wrong. Because I'm believing in HopEUm. I'm believing in EU. G2 are going to pick up the win. I swear it. No, regardless, thank you so much for watching. We'll have to find out exactly how well G2 are going to do once they take on Team Secret Wales on Monday. Thank you so much for watching the episode. As a reminder, we are going to be on Spotify not long after this airs. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you for listening. Like, share, let your friends know. We're going to be on YouTube as well, and I really, really appreciate if you could help spread the word. Let everybody know that HopEUm is around. If G2 make playoffs, we might have another episode next week. If not, well, we'll see you for spring. So make sure you keep an eye on social media. And thank you for watching. Join us on Discord. Join us for the episode and let everybody know that HopEUm is here to stay. Good night. Goodbye. See you later.